Greetings, Legunus, Arendelft here. So I was just watching HiddenExperias We Need to Talk About the Flood and Infinites campaign in their future video, and when it got to the Endless and him talking about them, and quick disclaimer, I have not played Halo Infinite whatsoever. Not sure I ever plan to because I'm an old school Halo fan, and I do not like whatsoever what 343 has done with Halo. That's a video in and of itself. But when it comes to like his take on how the Endless could wipe out humanity, I find it needlessly complicated. Absolutely needlessly complicated. And here's why. Why bother with the Flood at all? He acts as though because the Endless can't maybe can't be infected by the Flood, that makes the Flood some squishy little teddy bear to the Endless, and it's just not something they have to worry about, and they can use it to basically wipe out humanity, and then activate the Halo array to wipe out the Flood and any remnants of humanity or whatever, and just boom, suddenly everything will just be perfect for them. And I was like, what? HiddenExperia, you know what the Flood is. One, for the Flood to wipe out humanity, they'd have to be pretty intelligent. AKA, they'd have to have formed a grave mind. That's a basic necessity of them. They would have to have formed a grave mind to have any real chance of actually taking down humanity. And assuming that to be the case, a grave mind would sure as frag find the Endless to be a threat. And you know that the Flood, while yes, one of their primary ways of taking down any species is through infection, like they infect the population, then boil over using the population, like the species' own population against them. But at the same time, they took over ships. They took control of technology. Like, yes, not being able to take control of your species and whatnot would slow down any invasion of theirs, but the ability to adaptability. Adaptability is like any big, bad, scary species, any powerful faction has to have adaptability, or they're no real threat. Because you can adapt to their strategies and then not actually have to worry that they'll adapt back to you. It's just basic rule of war 101. Like, that's number one there. Have the ability to change your tactics, adapt, etc. And the concept that the Flood would just wipe out humanity for the Endless, not giving a crap at all that the Endless have their fingers on the button to wipe out all life in the galaxy and would just let them do that, is preposterous. Once they formed a grave mind, if anything, once they formed a grave mind and realized the threat that the Endless are particularly to them, they would devote their resources. The grave mind would devote its resources to wiping out the Endless. They would become the existential threats. And if anything, they would be happy to ally themselves with humanity to that end. It's something that we've seen, at least on a small scale, before. Yeah, the Flood will instantly turn on their allies the moment the dire threat is eliminated. But in the meantime, oh, heck yeah, they would absolutely side with the freaking humans to wipe out the Endless. It's a species they can't yet infect and take down, assuming that HiddenExperia's theory about that is correct, because they can't be harmed by the Halo array, which targets species with nervous systems that are able to be assimilated by the Flood, and that's how it works. So under that theory, it does make sense that they might not be able to be infected by the traditional way of infection of the Flood through their Flood forms, the spores and whatnot. But that's not even the only way that they infect. They do also have the dust, which was one of the original ways that they did their infections. Well, when the dust of the precursors came into contact with living things, whether through being breathed in or just contact with their skin, they were infected. And it did eventually take them over. Now, maybe it took them over only through their nervous systems And maybe in this instance they would retain their faculties, but they'd still eventually be broken down into biomatter the flood could use. They're still made of flesh. That's still something they could hypothetically still do. And with that being the case, the Flood are still by far an existential threat to the Endless. The Endless would know that. The Endless are, okay, I don't know how intelligent the Endless are. Maybe they're a bunch of incompetent crackpods who would actually think that this needlessly complicated plan of using the Flood to wipe out humanity and then firing off the Halo Array would be a good one. And maybe they would try that. And maybe they would have their, maybe somehow it would succeed. But it's much more likely that as a semi-intelligent species, they would realize that using the Flood in this manner, the Flood would then do everything they could to wipe out the Endless. And as someone, as a species that did actually compete, fight, and beat the Forerunners, yes, partially through their ability to infect them, but on a big secondhand note, it was their ability to actually take over technology. To be able to, once they had the biomatter, and once again, I seriously doubt that whatever way that makes the Endless immune to infection through the Flood would make them immune to its dust effects, which would break them down into usable biomatter. And once the Flood has that usable biomatter, once again, it's fuel for them to be able to take over technology, ships, etc., to grow, to become more than what they already are. It's pretty dang freaking super scary. And I doubt that to be the case. But even if they were somehow also immune to that, it would just slow the Flood down more. And once again, the Flood would not wipe out humanity for them. They would turn around, if anything, ally themselves with humanity and turn all their resources to wiping out a species that's immune to their infection and, as such, immune to the Halo Array and has their finger on the button for that purpose. They'd be careful and sly about it, most probably, but oh heck yeah. That's how that would turn out. And it just blows my mind that HiddenExperia never addressed that topic. I'm still completely flabbergasted that never happened. In any case, though, everybody, let me know what your feedback is down in the comments section below. Am I missing something? As someone who hasn't played the game, I am just running off of his video here because he's actually played it and whatnot and seriously enjoyed it and explored it. What are your thoughts? Are you like me and you haven't played the game and whatnot and don't fully know the lore? What are your thoughts and opinions? Please let me know. Also, if you dislike this video, please comment down in the comment section below, as well as throwing on a dislike. Yeah, I'll see your dislikes, but unfortunately, the regular person who hasn't installed any kind of upgrade into their browser to be able to get past YouTube's blocking of the dislike button won't be able to. So make your voice heard and make sure that's seen. If you liked it, though, please throw on a like. And hey, throw a comment down in the comment section. I absolutely love comments. I absolutely do. And if you have any kind of constructive criticism, also, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know how to improve. In any case, though, y'all are absolutely awesome. Hope to see you in the next one. If you have anything you'd like me to particularly cover, or any kind of content, especially in a science fiction world, throw down a suggestion. I love those too. And if it's something that somebody really wants to see, especially if it's something that I'd like to cover, heck yeah, I'd be all for that. Anyway, though, I will see y'all in the next one, and don't y'all be getting into too much trouble, or do. It's always up to you. Toodles, Legionus.